The AI revolution and the future of the economy is really going to be driven by this technology. And therefore, if we think about it being in the first batter, the first inning of a baseball game, that's really where we are with the development of the technology and the use of the technology across the economy. But it is new, and investors are having to digest the fact that it's new, and they don't, there's going to be some uncertainty as to exactly the path of progress, the path of investment, and these types of signals that you get from the companies that are really leading this revolution are the ones that the investors need to be able to help them understand that it remains on track, it remains something that they feel that they can invest their money behind. And so the earnings that we saw from Nvidia, but also from other major tech, the hyperscalers and other major tech companies, I think are continuing to drive the support for the overall view that this is a great investment to make over the long term. So just an example of just the correlation between the index, the Nasdaq 100 index, and the performance of the companies in the Nasdaq 100 index. Since the beginning of the year, the index is up 17%. That's after the sell-off, so still up 17%. But yet the earnings of the companies that are in the index are up 18%. And so it is very correlated to the actual earnings power of the companies in the index.
But there is basis to be worried about concentration risks. Imagine the whole market just waiting for one company's results to see where it goes from there. How are you assessing the kind of risk, especially when a lot of retail money is in there?
Well, I would look at it more as every company, as they are announcing their earnings, are giving investors an understanding or an indication of the overall trend of this technology and how it will affect the economy. So it's not so much that there is a reason why these big companies are really driving this investment forward, at driving this new technological innovation forward. They have the capital, they have the reach, they have the clientele. They are integrated across every sector, and so therefore, and then the technology, the chip technology and others, that is really going to be such an important underpinning of the infrastructure that's needed in order to drive this technology across every sector. So these are important companies to be able to understand and give indications as to the progression of the technology. But we actually have seen broad-based returns across the markets this year. Up until the sell-off a couple weeks ago, even the small cap markets and the small cap index in the United States was up 12% for the year. The mid cap markets are up in that 12 to 15%. So the markets in general are demonstrating that there's general resiliency in the economy. There is also this great new opportunity to drive productivity, to drive growth across every sector with this technology. And I think that's what's manifesting itself in the markets this year.
And speaking of technology, under your leadership, the Nasdaq has become a technology company. How do you see that driving growth going forward? And, in terms of contribution, what are you looking at?
Yeah, well, thank you. So we have actually really expanded Nasdaq to be an advanced technology company that serves the entire financial system around the world. We have our wonderful markets, and we're so proud of that. And obviously, we're home to great innovators. But we've also provide mission-critical technology to banks, brokers, other central banks, other exchanges. We provide technology to 140 exchanges around the world, including the Singapore exchange here, as well as 20 central banks. We provide risk management technology and treasury management technology. And we then have anti-financial crime, regulatory reporting, surveillance technology that helps banks manage risk while driving liquidity into the system around the world. And we're really proud of that role that we have to really partner with the banks. And then, of course, we have these great investable products with our index business. So if you really think about the growth of Nasdaq, it's growth through the markets, it's growth through the modernization of infrastructure in the financial system with our technology, and it's growth through these great investable products.
How are you investing into that space, into that business?
Well, we actually are always looking to make sure that we stay ahead of anyone else who could come into the space in terms of how we can drive the modernization of markets, and we can drive and use technology to drive integrity into the system. So we use AI across our anti-financial crime technologies. We're also creating a lot of efficiency for our bank clients through digital workers that we've embedded in the platform, so they can be both efficient and more effective in rooting criminals out of the system. We're driving that kind of automation across our surveillance platform, into our risk management platform. And so AI is going to be our future too. And we're very excited to be able to create new capabilities for our clients to be efficient and more effective in managing their risk in the financial system.
And of course, technology will allow you to do 24/5. realistically, when can that happen, and how do you see this evolving?
Yeah, in fact, I would say technology is definitely is the underpinning of our ability to be able to go to 24/5. We provide market technology to other markets that are already 24/5, 24/7. In fact, we provide technology to crypto exchanges and other futures exchanges. So we're going to use our own capabilities to drive the Nasdaq stock market into a 24/5 environment. And we also are working with the industry because we can do it, but we want the whole industry to feel like this is going to be a better experience than that they have today. Today, there are players out there that provide 24/5 trading for investors, but they don't have the central transparency of the tape. They don't have as much resiliency as markets provide. And what we want to bring is a lot of investor protection into the experience that investors have as they're trading around the world, around the clock. So we're very excited to be able to do that, and we hope to be able to launch that by the end of 2026.
Hey, that's great. And also IPO, make IPO great again. And we know you've just signed an agreement, a partnership with the Singapore Exchange. We spoke earlier to Boon Choi of the Singapore Exchange. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Great, thank you.
This pathway together with Nasdaq allows for tech, high-growth companies to tap both the global capital and with the Asian nexus. We're excited. We're getting domestic support. There is going to be more pots of pre-IPO cornerstone that issuers can look forward to.
So expect the tech unicorns. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we have a great relationship with the Singapore Exchange. We've been a 2-decade partner on the technology side, and we have really worked very hard to help them advance their markets. We've had different dual listing programs with them, but this one's special. I mean, this one is different. The most important difference is if you look at it from the point of view of the issuer itself. These great growth companies that are here in Asia, they want to be able to tap the domestic markets here and domestic investors while also tapping global investors in the United States. But today they have to go through 2 different regulatory processes to do that. Under this agreement, MAS and the SEC have come together to say, let's create one experience, one regulatory process to be able to tap 2 markets. It's the first of its kind, and we're very excited to be partnered with the SGX, but also and we've brought the whole ecosystem together. There's investment dollars going to be committed to this through the Singapore investment funds, as well as a regulatory framework that we think is really unique, that is going to make it so that these great tech companies and great growth companies, healthcare tech, others, will have access to both markets simultaneously.
How much of a boost will it give the Nasdaq versus other IPO markets like, the UK, London, as well as Hong Kong?
Well, we actually see this as a great opportunity for us to differentiate ourselves from everyone, both SGX and Nasdaq, to make it so that we can bring these great Asian companies and companies with a real Asian connection and expose them to the depth and the liquid markets that we have in the United States, the depth of those investors that really understand these companies and can really put their capital behind them, and at the same time enable these companies to be a part of the domestic market, to get access to that great capital that's here in Asia, and do that with one seamless experience. So we're very excited about it. We do think it's differentiated from anything that's out there today.
And as you try to boost the IPO market, of course, President Trump has weighed in. He wants regulations to be eased when it comes to listings. Where are we with that? And what conversations are you having?
Yeah, so making IPOs great again is something that we really care a lot about. And we're very excited because we've been advocating for a lot of the changes that, in fact, the administration has been discussing. And so as we see the opportunity for us to think differently about disclosures, the timing of disclosures, does every company need to have a quarterly report, or can there be semi-annual reports or other reporting regimes that can exist? Is a one-size-fits-all model really the right model for every company listed in the United States? And we don't think that is the case. We think there is an opportunity to be more flexible there. The proxy reform, the fact the administration is weighing in on proxy reform is so exciting, because that is one of the most onerous parts of being a public company today, is managing the proxy process and the lack of oversight that the proxy advisors have from the regulators. So we're very excited to see the opportunity to make some changes there. And then the third area that the SEC is focused on is litigation reform. Allowing companies to file to go public with a mandatory arbitration clause as opposed to subjecting them to class action lawsuits it's an incredible innovation that we hope that the SEC is able to implement.
All right, Adena, great to have you with us. I know you have a heart out. Thank you so much for joining us on Inside. Adena Friedman, Chair and CEO at Nasdaq